To adjust non-adaptive assignment settings in ALEKS, including for homework, tests, or quizzes, you'll first want to make sure you're on your assignments page. Once you're on your assignments page, you can either create a new assignment from scratch and adjust the settings there, or you can adjust the settings for an already existing homework, test, or quiz. To do so, you can either click on the name of that existing homework, test, or quiz, or you can select the checkbox next to it and click Edit at the top. It will always default into taking you to edit the content first. If you don't want to edit the content, you can simply click Continue at the bottom to get into the settings page. Once you're on your settings page, there are 4 main sections of settings that you'll want to pay attention to. We'll go through each of these in a little bit more detail in this video. The first section is the information section. This is where you can adjust the name of your assignment, as well as the start date and time and the due date and time for your assignment. If you're wanting to allow for a late submission, you'll want to check this box on here and set your final submission date and time. You can go one step further if allowing a late submission to apply an automatic penalty to any student who finishes during that late submission window. You'll want to pay attention to these different types of penalties that we allow for in ALEKS. The status of each assignment will default to enabled, but some instructors like to create things in ALEKS, disable them, and then print them off, which you can do. You can also in this section assign this assignment to the entire class, which is the default, or individual students or student groups. In this section, you can also set the time limit. The second section of settings is the assignment access settings. This is an important section to pay attention to, especially for a quiz or a test. The first setting here is how you want this assignment to be prioritized. Do you want the students to take it as soon as it's available, or do you want them to choose as soon as it's available? If you're allowing the students to choose when to start it, you can go one step further and allow students to work on it, save it for later, and work on something else. The next section down is for the prerequisites. You can add up to 5 prerequisites in ALEKS for a particular assignment, as well as choosing the minimum score for each of those prerequisites. In this assignment access settings section, you can also check the box on or off to require a password. You can also select or deselect if you're wanting to prevent those automatic knowledge checks from popping up. And you can also select or deselect if you're wanting review mode to be enabled for your students. Review mode is after one submitted attempt, the assignment will be available for practice without impacting their grade. The next section of settings down is the content settings. This is going to look quite a bit different if you're in a homework, test, or quiz, as well as depending on what course product, and textbook you are utilizing. Pictured here, we do have some assignment resources we can enable or disable. This will be what the students will receive when working on the assignment. You'll also see here that I can adjust the question attempts as well as the assignment attempts. The question attempts is how many chances that they get at each question, and the assignment attempts is how many attempts that they get at the assignment overall. If choosing more than one assignment attempt, you can also select or deselect how you want the students to retake that assignment. Do you want them to do the whole thing again, or do you want them to just do the questions that they got incorrect? If you're wanting them to do a full retake, you can also select how that full retake is graded based off of best, final, or average score. The next section of settings down is those grade settings. That's where you can decide how and when an assignment is graded. You can select or deselect for partial credit, and you can also adjust when the score and the report is released to students. For the score and the report, you can adjust this to give the students that right away on submission, wait until the due date, or select on a custom date. The report is the same way here, where you can select from those different options if you're wanting the students to see their full report, which is a breakdown of all the questions received and if they got them correct or incorrect. Once you've decided on when you want that report to be released, you can also decide on how many times the students are allowed to view it. If you don't want them to review that report at all, you can also select the box here to not release the report to students. You can also in this section enable or disable those letter grades. You do want to pay attention to the save settings at the bottom. If you've adjusted these settings prior to creating the rest of your course, you'll want to use the save box to apply the settings to all future assignments in this category. When you're done adjusting the settings for this page, you'll click Save to save those changes and publish it into your course.